sometimes you shut down
Mm-hmm.
and then you just don't want to like deal with anything or have just regular conversations with everyone because you just want to shut down because you don't want something like that to happen again.
I think we all come to the table with preconceived notions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even, you know, Lisa, maybe you can relate to this as a normal-sized white Caucasian woman. I have people who have preconceived notions about me. I have many clients from other cultures who come into my office and tell me what their preconceived notions are about me, about my life, and how privileged I've been, or how I've done this, or how I've done that. They know nothing about me. And I'm not here to talk about me. I'm only saying that all of us come to the table with preconceived notions. And I love what you said, Amy, about us starting out here, and we have to start to walk towards each other with that, you know, not all of us are faith-based, and I understand that, but if we can look at each other and say, you are a human being.
Yep.
Yes.
You have life experiences that
That's
I will never begin to understand.
Right.
You have hurts, as has already been mentioned. Everybody has hurts. Everybody has difficult times. And I'm not going to try to compare them to the lives of others. We've all got stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
we do.
and we can look at each other through the eyes of love and try to understand
Amen.
that, you know, Amy, you're short, but you're a human being with a lifetime full of experiences. Bunny is not white, but she has a lifetime of experiences and a lot of wisdom. Lisa has a whole different experience in her life. And we could all sit here and look at each other and make assumptions. And this is what we do. We assume I'm white. I must be privileged. You're short. You must do this or that. You must belong in a what was a traveling show, you know, and we really all of us collectively need to move away from that because we are driving each other further apart rather than trying to join together and become a community.
And I think, you know, the whole Black Lives Matter movement and stuff, and Lisa and I, you know, I do speaking engagements and stuff like that. And I don't pretend, I'm not an expert, you know, like you, Gayle, on counseling and, you know, stuff like that. And Bunny, you have a huge amount of outside, you know, experience. Me, it's like, okay, I'm a little person. I've been on a show for what, 15, 16 years and, you know, stuff like that. So I generally tell about my story and what I've learned from being on the show and my perspective on life and everything. But the whole thing is you matter, you have value, and you have purpose. Because I think a lot of times we're trying to look at the outward to try and fix us. That's where we really need to focus sometimes, not all of it, because then you become too arrogant. But I think we each need to spend a little time on ourselves individually.
Yes.
Telling ourselves, why do you think you matter? Of course you matter. But keep trying to tell yourself, yes, I have value. I'm not going to have the same value in someone can be a teacher. Doesn't mean because I want to be a teacher, I can be a teacher, or I can be, you know, a plumber or something. But I have value. I have talents. I can do something. I am worth something. And I have a purpose. We all have a purpose. Not everyone's going to be, you know, on a reality show, or no one's going to, but we all have a purpose. And to that together collectively, I honestly believe that once we understand that about ourselves, get out of yourselves and now look at other people. They matter too, just like you want to matter. They have value, just like you want to have value, and they have a purpose, just like you. And I think we often get away from that, especially with this political correctness, because then it turns all about them. Oh, you offended me. You did this. You did this. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but help me to understand that.
There you go.
Right.
Let's have a conversation.
The conversation.
Yes.
Instead of always
educate
thinking
yourself.
Instead of always thinking that people have bad intention. Some people just don't know. Some people forget. Some people should have paid a whole lot more attention to what they were doing So instead of like, man, condemning them and putting them, you know, on some bad pedestal, help each other, encourage, support, because
why don't we
you
ask
don't
questions?
want to be condemned over one little mistake.
Having dialogue and educating yourself, these are the things that, you know, someone said to me the other day, oh, people just need to get over this and move on. No, they don't. They don't need to get over.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
With Amy, there are times when people say things or act a certain way, and she goes, well, I just blow them off. Well,
because it becomes your norm, and if you stop yourself at every little thing, it's like, I would not be able to live life.
I have a question to ask Gayle. What Amy just said, Gayle, it becomes your norm, but to me, at a point, I was fortunate in my raising, even though there were pains. But when the pain keeps coming at you, doesn't that, this is for the psychotherapist, can't that affect you in a particular way over long term?
Yes, it can, certainly.
I think it catches up with you eventually.
If you stuff emotion, guess what? It's still there. And so there has to be some kind of reckoning in terms of working through that, whether you journal it out, whether you talk to someone, whether you talk to God, if that's your faith basis.
I do it all.
Yay.
Lisa and I talk.
Yeah. Well, we have to
I feel bad for her.
we have to have safe places where we can work through our pain. Like these, even yourself in an interracial marriage, I'm sure there's been things along the way. There just has. People looking at you, people making comments in public. People are unpleasant. People are mean and they're rude. Amy, your comment, you know, about you just blowing it off. I understand, and there does come a point where you just kind of say, it's another one of those. And my father-in-law had a wonderful saying. He used to say, I'm like a duck, it just runs off my back like water. And so I think there's a place for that. There's also a place for working out the deeper stuff that's really, really hurt. All of us have it. All of us need to work through that, or it comes out in bad ways. It comes out in anger. It comes out in rude statements and hurtful statements. You've probably heard the phrase, hurting people hurt people. And it's true.
And I also think it also can come out just bad for you in the sense of sometimes you shut down and then you just don't want to like deal with anything or have just regular conversations with everyone because you just want to shut down because you don't want something like that to happen again.
Well, exactly. You don't want the hurt to be happening again. And more comments will often open the hurt. So it's called a trigger, right? So you hear a word or a phrase that someone has said to you before that really hurt you before. It might not hurt you in the same way now, but it does bring up that emotion again. And one of my favorite things is just to say, God, there it is again. Please help me. I forgive that person and I move on. But it's still, we're still human. We still have emotions that we are given, and we need to also look at them. So it's a balance.
Well, like similar to Lisa, like, and I'm sure Bunny, you probably have encountered something like this perhaps, but like being an adult and Lisa and I will be somewhere, or even when I'm walking with Chris or other friends, you know, I'll have kids say comments, or I'll even have adults, and it's not always, oh, she's the one from the show. Or I've had moments where they'll talk to Lisa and I'm right there as if
and ignore her.
I'm on the show, but you're talking to her. She's not my like PR person or you know, something like that. And to me, that is like, I freeze up inside because I'm like, okay, now someone has a view of me, just me and that person. Now they have a public view. How will that impact on that person, how they look at me now, just because of a comment, because it's out there in the public, because now they're looking at themselves. I remember in college, you know, I tell you, it's, I was in college and, you know, some people were making comments. All I could think about was me, how that impacted me. it wasn't until years later, a very good friend of mine, we don't talk much, but she's still a good friend. She lives down in Arizona. She goes, oh, Amy, she goes, I felt for you. I felt so bad. I felt like, you know, are these people looking at me because they're saying something about me? But she had her own self-doubts, and she was thinking that they were all, you know, thinking worse of her. And, you know, but yet, like to your point, Gayle, we never talked about what those moments felt like each of us and how we felt for each other afterwards.
Yeah.
And another thing is, the show has really helped me, you know, get outside my box more. I will definitely say that. And being a mom, because it can't be about me. I got to, you know, raise these 4 kids. But another moment was a lot of moments when parents hear their kids, but a kid will say, oh, mom, look at that, you know, little lady, or look at that little mom, or, you know, and the parents will be rushing their kids away. And I totally get it. Because they're embarrassed. But if I have those moments, I'll turn to that child and look at the parent as well and say, you're absolutely right. Because even though he said it innocently out in the blue, but it's like, you recognize I'm different, but I'm not like you being an 8-year-old or something.
Yeah.
I'm an adult, but he's trying to reconcile, okay,
Something,
she's an adult, she's, you know, she's a mom, but so I always try and find just those little glimmers of moments to reinforce those things. But yeah, every day I go out thinking, okay,